Hey, this is Starkiller with Split Screen. So yesterday I went to go see Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and after having let it all sink in for a day, I'm going to be reviewing the movie. Spoilers will be towards the end of the video. There will be an annotation on screen and a link in the description telling you at what point they start, so you can click away until you've seen the movie. Now let's get into it. Rogue One is the first Star Wars movie of its kind. It's the first officially canon live-action spin-off this franchise has had. It tells the stories of the days leading up to Episode 4, A New Hope. A story of how the rebels got the infamous Death Star plans and how the battle station's main flaw came to be. The film begins with mostly exposition and character introductions in its first act. It gives a little bit of context to everything happening, but the beginning can feel a little unorganized and messy at times, until everything comes together very satisfyingly in the second and third acts. The cast of characters has great chemistry throughout the second and third acts of the film, with Felicity Jones's Jyn Erso and Diego Luna's Cassian Andor stealing the spotlight. Possibly the best character comes from Alan Tudyk's K2SO, a reprogrammed Imperial droid with a lot of sassy and snarky one-liners. He provides the comic relief in a movie that's very much about war. Where the other Star Wars movies focused on the Jedi and the Sith, and the Force more than anything, this movie is about the war between Rebel and Empire. The blurred lines of how far both sides are willing to go to achieve their goals. Not everything is black and white in this movie, and the morally questionable things the rebellion has done is front and center for the first and second acts of the film, making us sometimes wonder who to root for, of course until the Empire does something horribly evil again. The story of the Death Star and its architect is also a fascinating one, a story I didn't know I wanted but was more than happy to get. One character that makes a return is Saw Gerrera, played by Forrest Whitaker, an old friend of Jyn Erso, and a character who originally started out in the Clone Wars animated TV series, making this the first time an animated Star Wars character transitions to film. Saw is an extremist rebel whose brutal methods have caused him to separate with the main Rebel Alliance. While this movie is devoid of Jedi, it does have its Force wielders. Darth Vader makes a more than welcome big-screen comeback in some of the best Star Wars scenes ever put to film. And we have a blind monk-like character played by Donnie Yen, who uses the Force to see his surroundings, much like Kanan in the Star Wars Rebels TV series. There are plenty of cameos from big Star Wars characters that I won't name for spoilers' sake, as well as characters like Mon Mothma and Bail Organa. There are 3 villains to this movie, one of which I won't name for spoilers, and the other 2 being Darth Vader and director Orson Krennic. The history between Krennic and the Death Star's architect adds a lot of depth to the story, and makes the whole thing feel like it comes full circle by the end of it. Krennic is also on thin ice with the Empire's high command, and his strained relationship with the Empire drives his motivations to do better, which ultimately led to his downfall. Overall, Star Wars Rogue One is a great Star Wars movie for the fans and newcomers alike. I give Rogue One an 8.5 out of 10. Now for spoilers. The third villain of the movie is Grand Moff Wilhoof Tarkin, originally portrayed by Peter Cushing in Episode 4. Cushing, however, passed away 22 years ago, so with the help of CGI and a truly great voice performance, they managed to recreate him. He has a quite prominent role in the film, and while his CGI face can look a tiny bit off at some points, if you didn't know Cushing had passed away, you would assume they'd gotten him back for the role. The triangle between director Krennic, the Death Star architect Galen Erso, and his daughter, our protagonist Jyn Erso, is fascinating, with Galen sacrificing his freedom to build the Death Star with the hopes that his daughter will exploit the hidden flaw he left within it, the flaw used by the rebels in Episode 4. By the end of the movie, predictably so, all our characters die, as they do not appear in any subsequent Star Wars films. Their deaths never feel cheapened, though, by the sheer amount of them. All the characters go out in a way that lends them honor and exposes the fact that Rogue One is going for a much more serious war movie tone, compared to the adventure style of previous films. The film ends in pure glory as Darth Vader tears through a full ship of rebels alone with his lightsaber right before the Tantive 4 escapes his grasp. The final shot is that of a rebel giving the Death Star plans to Leia, who makes a cameo, her face also having been CGI enhanced to look like the spitting image of young Carrie Fisher.